In 2007, Lindsay Hawker was brutally murdered by Tatsuya Ichihashi. Who was Lindsay Ann Hawker? Lindsay Ann Hawker was from Warwickshire, England, and lived with her parents, Bill and Julia, and her two sisters. A bright student who received a degree in biology, she was known for her boundless enthusiasm for life. Lindsay wanted to see the sights and sounds of the world and travel extensively with her boyfriend, Ryan Garside. They made plans for a world tour, but first Lindsay started a new teaching job in Tokyo, Japan, which delayed them. But Ryan would join her the following summer when they would finally set sail. In 2007, 22-year-old Lindsay arrived in Japan for her position at the Tokyo branch of Nova, Japan's largest private English school. Lindsay told her family that Tokyo was safe and that she had made new friends there. On March 22, 2007, Lindsay travelled by train from work to home. During her journey, a stranger named Tatsuya Ichihashi approached her, saying that he wanted to learn English to go abroad for studies. He claimed to be one of her students, but Lindsay knew all of her students, and Tatsuya was not one of them. Nevertheless, Lindsay invited the inquisitive young man to her apartment, where he met her roommates. Tatsuya sketched a picture of Lindsay and signed it with his name and phone number. Who was Tatsuya Ichihashi? Tatsuya Ichihashi was born in Chiba Prefecture on January 5, 1979. He graduated from Chiba University, where he majored in horticulture. But Tatsuya never worked in the field, because he was from a wealthy family. His mother was a dentist, and his father was a brain surgeon. He was living on his parents' money. According to his college peers, Tatsuya was socially isolated and obsessed with violent manga. Though his girlfriend described him as a serious and stable man, he had previously mugged a woman in the street and was given a formal warning for stalking. Tatsuya was obsessed with physical fitness and spent countless hours working out. Despite this regimen, his mental health was deteriorating, and he told friends that he was feeling unstable. No one urged him to seek medical help, and he was developing a fixation on a random stranger, a young English language teacher from the United Kingdom, Lindsay Hawker. Lindsay goes missing. On March 24th, Lindsay said goodbye to her roommates and left their apartment. She never came back. On March 26th, the staff of the Nova School contacted Lindsay's father and told him that Lindsay had not shown up for her classes for 2 days. Her roommates called the police and reported her missing. Bill Hawker booked a ticket for himself and went to Tokyo to find his daughter. Investigation. Police got CCTV photos of March 25, 2007, where Lindsay and Ichihashi were seen in a cafe ordering drinks. Lindsay appeared to be uncomfortable. They sat there for 50 minutes while Lindsay gave Tatsuya an English lesson. After the lesson, the pair got a taxi and left. The taxi stopped in front of Ichihashi's apartment. He used the excuse of having no money to lure her into his apartment. Lindsay asked the taxi driver to wait for her and went inside with Ichihashi. The taxi driver left after 7 minutes, and Lindsay did not come back. He was the last person who saw her alive. In Ichikawa, a suburban town east of Tokyo, 9 police officers assembled outside of Ichihashi's apartment. As he was leaving, he saw something that tipped him off and started running. Although he was barefoot and wearing a backpack, he managed to escape the officers. A body is found. Police went inside the apartment and found the naked body of Lindsay Hawker buried in the bathtub, which was filled with a mixture of compost soil and sand and placed on the apartment's balcony. A small white hand protruded from the mixture. Lindsay had been gagged with a scarf, and her hands and feet were bound with gardening ties. Her head had been shaved, and her hair was found in a plastic bag. When I saw her, I knew it was Lindsay. She was my daughter. She was so tall and beautiful, but she was beaten so badly. My life and my soul just fell beneath me. Lindsay's father's statement to the media. Lindsay's upper body was bruised, which indicated that she had been subjected to a prolonged attack. The egg-sized bruises were inflicted with a fist. Other marks on her upper body were from collisions with furniture. Both Tatsuya and Lindsay knew martial arts, but Ichihashi was a more experienced fighter, having achieved the level of black belt. Lindsay fought her attacker bravely, but Tatsuya was more powerful. Ichihashi strangled her and broke the cartilage in her neck, leaving her dead. On March 27th, Lindsay's parents received a call informing them a body had been found. Her father, who had already booked a flight to Tokyo, was now traveling to identify his daughter. Tatsuya managed to flee. Police distributed 30,000 posters of Tatsuya throughout the country. The police put him on a nationwide wanted list. They released a new poster for Ichihashi, which included an image of the suspect disguised as a woman. They also released images of the drawing he had made of Lindsay, hoping that someone would recognize his artistic style. Investigators looked into reported sightings of Ichihashi, but could not find him. In 2008, 180 officers were assigned to investigate the case, but investigators were no closer to finding their suspect. Lindsay's family launched a link, appealing to the public to help determine Ichihashi's whereabouts. In 2009, it was speculated that he had fled to the Philippines or committed suicide. The police released life-size cutouts of Ichihashi to raise awareness. Tatsuya Ichihashi altered his appearance with cosmetic surgery to evade arrest. After fleeing, Tatsuya wandered around Tokyo with no money. He covered his face under masks and wore hats and glasses, carefully avoiding eye contact and surveillance cameras. He didn't contact any family members. Tatsuya traveled north to Aomori Prefecture, where he would perform surgery on his own face to disguise his identity. While passing a police station, he saw a wanted poster with his face and one of his moles prominently featured. He then sliced the mole off his left cheek using a box cutter. He also cut off his lower lip to make it look thinner. His first attempt was unsuccessful because of unbearable pain, but he finished the job a few days later in a public bathroom. After cutting his nose, he bound it up with a needle and thread to make it look thinner. He needed plastic surgery to disguise himself fully, and he needed money to afford the operations. Using the name and address of a dead person to get work with a construction company in Osaka, he saved 1 million yen and spent most of the money on 2 plastic surgery operations, which included a nose uplift. He gave false names and addresses to the clinics. The arrest. The Japanese National Police Agency raised the cash reward for information leading to Ichihashi's arrest from 1 million to 10 million yen. Ironically, it was his attempts to conceal his identity that ultimately gave him away. The cosmetic surgery clinic in Nagoya reported to the police when they saw unusual scars on Ichihashi's face and sent pictures. Police released to the media a photograph taken immediately before his most recent surgery. Ichihashi, who saw himself on the news, later wrote, "My heart raced. I gazed at it trembling." Investigators received a phone tip on November 10, 2009, reporting a man resembling Ichihashi at a ferry terminal. Officers rushed to the scene and arrested Tatsuya Ichihashi in Osaka's Suminoe ward. Police took the suspect to Suminoe police station in Osaka and, after taking his fingerprints, confirmed it was Ichihashi. The reward money was divided among and dispensed to the staff of the cosmetic surgery clinic in Nagoya, an employee of the Osaka construction company where Tatsuya had worked, and an Osaka ferry company employee who reported sighting Ichihashi. I would like to thank every single person in Japan who looked at the television, looked at the newspaper, and watched for Ichihashi to come here. Lindsay loved the children of Japan. I now feel as if Japan has not let her down. Lindsay's father's statement to media after Ichihashi's arrest. The trial. Ichihashi was initially charged with abandoning a body because he did not confess upon being arrested. Ichihashi admitted to suffocating Hawker to prevent her from screaming while he sexually assaulted her. Prior to his trial, Ichihashi wrote to Ms. Hawker's parents and sisters, as in Japan, defendants can get shorter sentences if the victim's family accepts their apology. In his letter, the confessed killer wrote, "There is no one to blame but me. I will take responsibility. I will never forget about her and what I did to her and you. And I will carry my cross until the moment of my death. I'm very sorry. I not only destroyed her life, but I also changed your lives. What I did to her, and you will never be forgiven. I was evil." Lindsay's family rejected the letter as a ploy and requested that the court show no mercy and give him the death penalty. During the first hearing of the trial, a weeping Ichihashi told the court, "Yes, I sexually assaulted her. Yes, I agree that Lindsay died because of my actions. But I did not mean to kill her. Only Lindsay and I know what really happened that day, but she can no longer speak for herself because of me. It is my responsibility to tell the truth throughout this trial." Verdict and sentencing. The highly anticipated trial verdict drew 950 spectators who lined up for 60 seats in the court's public gallery. Before his sentencing, a cuffed and secured Ichihashi entered the courtroom and bowed to the Hawker family and Lindsay's parents, who were seated near the prosecutors. The Guardian reported that he prostrated himself in front of the couple in a dramatic show of remorse, though the family ignored him. The verdict was determined by a panel of 6 lay judges and 3 professional judges. The presiding judge, Masaya Hotta, read the ruling and described Ichihashi's actions to a full-capacity courtroom. Shortly after he entered his apartment, the defendant administered strong blows to the victim, especially around her right eye. He also assaulted other parts of her body and used tape to bind her to stop her resisting when he sexually assaulted. To satisfy his sexual desire, then tried to cover it up by killing her. He then attempted to conceal the murder by abandoning her body. The crime was inexcusable and savage. Has repeated irrational, unnatural statements that are contradicted by the evidence. We do not believe that he has reflected on his crime from the bottom of his heart. It is extremely rare in Japan to impose the death penalty for killing only one person, and Ichihashi had no previous convictions. On July 21, 2011, Tatsuya was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Lindsay Hawker. Is Tatsuya Ichihashi still alive in 2025? Following his conviction, Tatsuya Ichihashi was confined at the Nagano prison, where he is a Class B offender. A fellow inmate said Ichihashi had been assigned to work at plant number 10. Ichihashi tended to be aloof, only engaging with those with whom he felt comfortable. The inmate also noted that Ichihashi has many passionate fans and received monthly visits and financial donations from his parents. Tatsuya Ichihashi wrote a book, Until I Was Arrested, which purported to tell his side of the story as a gesture of contrition for the crime I committed. "I took Lindsay's life," he wrote. "That fact does not change." He offered Lindsay's family any royalties that the book might earn, but the family rejected his offer. According to Article 28 of the Japanese Penal Code, Ichihashi will be eligible for parole after serving 10 years of his sentence. However, the average length of incarceration for life terms is 32 years and 10 months.